Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here. And if you're watching this video, you're actually on task number 2, where you guys are going to be looking at trying to understand how to revise your reflection and how to use your resources to help check your work. But before I do that, I want to say that in terms of what we're doing today, we're at this very first step in our checklist where we edit our task 1 reflection question and more specifically the answer using our resources. Now, when we get done, we're going to be making sure that we obviously have revised our reflection and we've used the resources to help us do just that. So let's take a look at what that means. So here in your original 700 model, we had task 1, and we had this big question: why are the newts becoming more poisonous over time? And in here, you had a response, an answer. This answer should be guiding the creation of your model. Now, we are going to start by revising and fixing this before we complete our model. So let's take a look at what that means. When you revise your model, the first thing you need to ask yourselves is, did I use these 8 vocabulary words in my response? So these are the 8 required vocab words that we should have in our response. Our new vocab word that we'll be adding, it used to be 7, but our new one is mutation. So we should be going back into here and checking, do I have all these vocab words in there? Do I now have a way to add this mutation in there, and how do I add it in there, so that I can explain why my newts are becoming more poisonous over time? If we have all of those in there, then the next step is to use our resources to make sure that our response is a strong response that explains what's going on with the newts. So if you need to rewatch the video to kind of get the big picture of what's going on, great. Okay. If not, you can always check our newt population histogram right here. Now, this is a great resource, and I recommend that everybody looks at this at least once, okay? The histogram is a histogram that should look familiar. This was what we introduced in our very last lesson that has 4 sets of histograms that explains what's going on with our newts in the distant past. So if you remember, that was about 200 generations ago, all the way to now present day, okay, today's population. And in here, our data collected and our information about the environment matches up with the model that we're making and helps us to explain why our newts are becoming more poisonous. Okay, so if you notice here, we have the start about 200 generations ago, and slowly it began to change over time in one way or the other, leading to our population today. And your answer should be explaining how and why this is happening. So when we look at our response, first question, did we include all the vocabulary words? If the answer is yes, awesome. If the answer is no, use the vocab there if you need it. Use the vocab here if you need it. Okay. Second question is, do I explain how and why the newts are changing from here all the way to here? If you can explain everything from here to here in your response, remember in our question here, why are the newts becoming more poisonous over time, then you probably have a really strong response. If you have 1 or 2 sentences here, you're probably not quite where we need to be, and we need to add more detail in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our survey. Do we understand how to revise our reflection? Okay, hopefully we understand how to incorporate our vocab, how to incorporate what's going on with our population histogram. If not, come see me. Do we know how to use our resources to check? Do we know how to hop onto task 3, use these resources, and how to add them into our response? The answer is yes. Awesome. Go ahead and get started working. If not, check in with me. Let's talk about, hey, Mr. Regan, how do I add an environment? How do I add a mutation? Hey, Mr. Regan, I'm looking at this histogram, but I need a little help understanding what's happening maybe from here to here or here to here. Let's talk about it, okay? Let's break that down together so that you have a solid response. Because remember, what you put in your response here is going to affect how you make your model. So take a second, decide, where are we at? Do I know how to revise my reflection? Do I know how to use my resources? Okay, if so, great. Then it's time to hop into the next task and begin to rewrite your answer to the very first task, that reflection question. If no, come see me and we'll start together. All right, good luck, and I'll see you if you need me.